I'm not going to be the one paying for it.
Wait, Kate. Hold on a minute. I've always supported you, Kate, haven't I? So can't you just do me this favor? When your parents passed away, I never left, and I was always by your side, supporting you.
Did you get close to me because you thought my parents were corporate executives and you could count on what I would inherit from them?
No, that's...
I see. So you were after the money from the beginning, huh?
Well, so what? What if I was? But that's not the only thing I was after. I also thought that you...
Was it fun for you? To have a wife who earns a lot for you?
That's not what I said.
Did you think that if you impregnated me quickly, that I won't run away from you?
Well, it's what I deserve, don't I? I've done everything for you. I've done everything you've asked, you know.
You've done everything I asked for? Oh, please. You did that for your own desires, wasn't it? Thank goodness I didn't get pregnant. My name is Kate. It has been 8 years since I got married to my husband, Harry. We don't have any kids at the moment, but this is what we always talked about, even before my husband and I got married. I have been working in a consulting company and I love my job. My husband has been saying that he wants kids, but it's not like he wants to raise the kids. Even though Harry says he wants kids, he could not seem to let go the perception that taking care of the kids are something what women do. And he would say that as if it's a normal thing, and he probably thought that I was supposed to raise our kids. I understand your feelings, Harry, but I have no intention of raising a baby yet.
Why?
Because I want to keep doing my job.
But I do think that a baby would need his or her mother's love.
Well, all children should grow up with love from not just by their mothers but by everyone, right? But I can't do that right now, so I'm glad that you want to marry me. But if you want kids, it'll be a little complicated, but I think you should choose to be with someone else.
Someone else? I can't think of being with someone else than you.
I want to get married to you too, Harry, you know. But I just can't change my mind here. He seemed to take it very seriously, and the subject of kids came up several times after that.
After everything we discussed about having kids, I still want to marry you, Kate. I've come to think that as long as you're with me, I don't have to have kids.
I see.
Besides, there may come a time when you want to have kids, right?
Well, I don't want you to linger on to any hope like that. I can't really tell at the moment if I would or not, you know. We talked about the subject over and over, and then we got married. My parents and his parents agreed with our decision, and I think our marriage was going great. My husband and I first met in college. He joined the club I was in when he was a freshman, and I was a junior back then, and at the club we got to know each other and began to go out. We both loved movies, so we belonged to a movie critique club and had a lot of discussions. We often went to the movies together because we liked the same genres of movies. One day, my husband asked me to be his girlfriend. I also loved my husband and thought that if I were to get married, it would be to him. But you only live once. I didn't want to compromise too much in my marriage. I never told my husband about this, but what he said on "there may come a time in the future when I would like to have kids" was spot on. It's not that I don't want children. It's just that now is not the right time for me. I wanted to devote my time to work. But if I said that, I would just give hopes to my husband. I felt like I was tricking Harry if I married him by saying, maybe I will want a baby, and I knew I shouldn't do that. And now, we have been married for 8 years. We still don't have any kids yet. I was beginning to feel that I should focus on my job for 2 more years, build up my performance and skills, and then think about having kids. Of course, I didn't tell my husband about this. To give him hopes like this would be to belittle the conclusion he made 8 years ago after discussing about it and giving it a serious thought. For the past 8 years, our marriage had been really good. But then, one phone call would change my husband and my life forever. It was a call from the police. My parents had been involved in an accident and were rushed to the hospital. So I rushed to the hospital, but I couldn't make it in time as my parents passed away. When I had dinner at my parents' house a week before, they were both smiling cheerfully. And even 3 days ago, I was just on the phone with my mother. She sounded great. And yet, there they were, both of them, lying cold, right before my eyes. It was so difficult for me to accept what had happened to them. It was my husband who stood and supported me in my grief. After the funeral, even though Harry was a bit uncoordinated, he took care of the things around the house for me, who couldn't go to sleep because of my grief. My mother-in-law, Sarah, also rushed over and cooked us meals. Seeing this, I felt a little better knowing that I wasn't all alone. But this relationship would be destroyed because of what I would inherit from my parents. Money changes people. I never thought that this would actually happen to me in real life. During the week I was absent from work due to bereavement, I was able to live and eat well, with the support of my husband and Sarah. But I had a job that I had to go to. I couldn't just be in bed, crying all day. So I got myself together and went to work. My coworkers and bosses welcomed me back to the company kindly. My direct boss even tried to reduce my workload, but this didn't help me at all. At the moment, I just wanted to get a lot of work done and forget about my grief and sadness. I asked my boss to increase the number of the cases which I could be in charge of. Thanks to this, I was exhausted from work, but my mind seemed to have calmed down. And then one day, my husband brought up the subject of my parents.
You know, I think it's time to start organizing your parents' things. It seems like things get a lot more difficult to handle after 3 months. I'm really sorry. I really didn't want to bring this topic up, you know. I can help you.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I do have to do it.
I'll help you. You seem busy too, Kate.
It's okay. I want to do everything that I can for my parents. I mean, I couldn't even take care of them as their daughter. I want to at least make sure they're well taken care of in the end.
I see. All right, I understand. If it gets difficult for you, let me know, okay? I'll always help you out.
Thank you so much. I took my husband's advice and spent my day offs sorting out my parents' documents, assets, and their inheritance. As a result, my parents' inheritance came to be about $2 million. After that, I continued to spend my day offs cleaning up my parents' house and sorting through their belongings. I spent a long time cleaning up my parents' house, and it reminded me of many things. I spent my childhood years at this house, and I moved out of this house when I got married. My parents' house is filled with many memories. In the summer, we ate ice cream in the garden, and in the winter, we made snowmans with the snow. Remembering these things, tears began to well up again. I wish I could raise my kids here. I mumbled these words to myself. It was a moment where the thought of having kids had greatly changed in my mind. I won't hesitate anymore. I'll make sure to tell my husband about how I felt. I went home with this thought in mind, but as it turned out, my husband and I ended up divorcing without ever discussing about what I felt about having kids. When I returned home, my husband welcomed me back home.
Welcome home.
Thanks, I'm back home. You know...
Hey, your parents' inheritance and the money, it all was transferred to you today, right, Kate?
Excuse me?
Well, I mean, you were talking to someone who's from the bank the other day, right?
You were listening to the conversation?
Oh yeah, I could hear it, you know.
There's no way Harry could hear it. When I was on the phone, I was in my walk-in closet, which was in my study room at the time. I was picking out clothes when someone from the bank called me, and we were talking right then and there. So there was no way Harry could hear the conversation unless he actually came into my study room. Harry and I each have our own study rooms, and we usually hardly go into each other's studies. But if he heard my conversation, then that means that my husband was the only one who came into my study room at the time. Something feels wrong. I was feeling so happy just now.
It's planned that you'd inherit $2 million, right?
What? I didn't tell you about that, right?
Oh, no, I saw a written memo which I found on the floor a few days ago.
He's lying. I did write it as a memo, but that memo was written on my schedule planner. So that means that Harry actually went through my stuff to see it. I didn't receive it yet.
Oh? Really?
Well, you see, I have a lot of work to do right now, so I don't have time to actually receive it.
I see.
My husband didn't ask any more questions other than that. But he seemed somewhat restless. Is it just me, or is Harry acting strange? It is not possible for Harry to be blinded by my parents' inheritance. He was the one who tenderly cared for me when I was grieving. Of course, that would never happen. That's what I kept on saying to myself. But the next day, what I had thought was completely different. Because Kate and her husband, John, came over and I found out their true nature. I'm home. Oh, welcome home, Kate. Oh, Sarah? And John too, you were all here? Yes, because today is a celebration. What are we celebrating for?
Oh, Mother, come on, wait a minute. I told you that Kate hasn't received the inheritance yet.
Oh? But isn't it already decided that she'll get it? If so, then that's good, right? What are you all talking about? Oh my God, Harry didn't tell you? We're going to rebuild our house. Huh? Oh, really? I'm sorry, I didn't hear about that. Oh, is that so? Well, it's okay. We'll be waiting for you to pay up. Huh? We're going to rebuild our house with your parents' inheritance. It seems like Sarah blurted out something that I hadn't ever heard. To begin with, both of my parents were working as executives of a company. Upon receiving the news of my parents' passing, my husband, who thought the inheritance will be a lot, told Sarah that he would rebuild the house and move in with them. And of course, he was planning to use my parents' inheritance money to rebuild his parents' house. You've got to be kidding me. Who would even go along with that ridiculous idea? I'm not going to be the one paying for it.
Wait, Kate, hold on a minute. I've always supported you, Kate, haven't I? So, can't you just do me this favor? When your parents passed away, I never left, and I was always by your side supporting you.
Did you get close to me because you thought my parents were corporate executives and you could count on what I would inherit from them?
No, that's not it.
I just remembered, Before we started to go out, you kept on asking me a lot about my parents, didn't you? What was that for?
No, that's...
I see. So you were after the money from the beginning, huh?
Well, so what? What if I was? But that's not the only thing I was after. I also thought that you...
Was it fun for you to have a wife who earns a lot for you?
That's not what I said.
Did you think that if you impregnated me quickly, that I won't run away from you?
Well, it's what I deserve, don't I? I've done everything for you. I've done everything you've asked,
You've done everything I asked for? Oh, please. You did that for your own desires, wasn't it? Thank goodness I didn't get pregnant. Hey! Kate, you do know that by not having kids, you're not taking care of us as your parents-in-laws, right? So, you should at least contribute and pay for our new house. No way. I have no obligations to do so. Because I do not intend to continue our married life that I have with your son. What did you just say?
Oh, Mother, just stop it. I did get along with Kate for the money anyways. If we get a divorce, she'll be the one who'll be in trouble. Because I'll take half of what she owns anyways. Well, it's fine with me if we get a divorce. Getting half of what you own is much better anyways.
Is that so? Well then, can you just leave now since we're getting a divorce?
Huh? Why should I be the one to leave here?
Well, that's because I own this house and it's under my name. Oh, then are you going to pay for the rent? It costs about $3,500 per month, so can you handle that?
How dare you make fun of me? Of course I can pay that much.
Oh, I see then. With your monthly salary of $2,800, I didn't know you could afford this rent. Were you investing or something? Well then, I guess I should leave, huh?
Now, wait a minute. Actually, I wasn't really fond of this house from the beginning. So, I'll be the one leaving, but that's not because I can't pay the rent, okay?
Okay, if you say so. Well then, please kindly leave. It's unfortunate that half of what you own would be taken away in the end, Kate. Sarah said that to me while she looked down on me. But, in any case, John, what was the point of you being here for? He was just silent the whole time. He never, ever said anything, so I really don't understand why he was there. After that, I expected that some things might go wrong with my divorce to Harry, so I hired a lawyer. And just as I expected, both Harry and Sarah was being a hassle throughout the whole divorce proceedings. Well, of course they'd act like that. Because they never got my property or the inheritance from my parents. My husband thought that he could at least receive $1 million from the inheritance, but he had no idea that inheritance doesn't apply to common property. He really must be an idiot. But Harry did try to take the common properties away from me. And he even claimed for $100,000 for it. But this is where his father John came in. It turns out that John was so fed up with his wife and his son during that talk, and he was completely agreeing on the divorce, and was also thinking of divorcing Laura. Laura desperately pleaded John not to leave her, and he said he wouldn't leave and divorce Laura on the condition that she would not receive any money from me. Laura, not wanting to get a divorce, desperately tried to persuade John, but in the end, she agreed to not receive anything from me. I'm glad you came in handy, John. I guess he wasn't being silent for nothing. Plus, John was the only one who contacted me to apologize. At that point, John promised me to keep both Harry and Sarah under his surveillance so that they wouldn't harass me, and he gave me his condolences to my parents. Since then, my husband and I got divorced and I was finally free. My ex-husband called me once to try to get back with me, but I ignored him. I had no obligations to help him as well. Harry and I have been living based on my earnings, and since then, John has been managing all his money, so I guess he won't have any freedom at all anymore. Harry and Sarah deserves what they got. I, on the other hand, decided to move out of the house and live back at my parents' house. And 4 years later, I remarried, and I am now pregnant. I am grateful to have a child, even though I am over 40 years old. I hope to be able to eat ice creams in the garden with my son. So Harry was after Kate's money from the beginning. And saying things like how Harry wants a child makes it seem like he totally sees kids as a tool to get his own way. Harry for sure will not be able to lead a good life from now on. At any rate, I am cheering for Kate's new beginning. Thank you for watching until the end. Please subscribe to our channel. We hope to see you in our next video.